Good morning, Facebook. Isaac here in the Fox Carolina Weather Center. I wanted to check in with you. It's 9:40 on a Wednesday, and we've, of course, wrapped up the morning news. We're talking all things Dorian. It is still a Category 2 storm, winds over 100 miles per hour, and some of the outer bands of Dorian already starting to impact parts of the South Carolina coast. We had a really big downpour move through the Charleston area about 15 to 30 minutes ago, and we're still seeing some lightning, hearing some thunder down there. We have our some crews down there. Michelle Zoo is down there and in and around that area, and she certainly she actually called Nicole just a few minutes ago to ask, like, when's the next band coming? Because, as we were just kind of mentioning, we are going to see just kind of a coming and going of these bands throughout the day today, and then they're going to continually get worse and get heavier, and conditions will continue deteriorating really tonight and really tomorrow morning and through the day tomorrow. That's when we're going to expect the worst weather conditions on the coast. I'm going to show you the track here in just a second. Thankfully, nothing has largely changed. Thanks, Carlos. Nothing has largely changed, so we're not expecting any upstate impacts still, but we could see impacts spread a little bit farther inland because models have pushed the track of the storm slightly closer to the coastline, and landfall is still not out of the question. But at this point, as I'm going to point out, whether we see a landfall or not, we're going to see hurricane conditions on the coast, and that's really all there is to it. So we'll start there. The hurricane warnings, they're in effect for the entire coastline, and the tropical storm force warnings are basically in effect for I-95 and almost Columbia. Columbia not included, but the county just south and east of there included in a tropical storm warning. And then we have hurricane watches for the Outer Banks, and then we have tropical storm force watches actually all the way up to near Raleigh. So again, as I mentioned, this is the latest radar of the storm. Again, that feeder band is working its way through Charleston now and working its way toward I-95. And then you can just kind of see it's sort of scattered back offshore. So as Nicole and I were just briefing our management team and our producer team in our meeting, and basically it's going to be coming and going in waves today. But you can see as I pan the radar to the south, there's the hurricane. And so obviously once we get into tonight and to tomorrow, it's going to become a lot steadier, a lot heavier, a lot more just really significant impacts on the way. Here's a high-resolution radar image from the Jacksonville radar site, and you can clearly see, obviously, Dorian continuing to spin here. It's moving north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. It still has winds of 105 miles per hour, and that makes it Category 2. Here are our spaghetti models, and I'm going to show you the official track in just a second. But you can see, one of them actually takes it right into South Carolina now. But the majority of them still keep it right offshore of the state. So you can clearly see that they're tightly clustered right past Charleston, right up to Pawleys Island and Myrtle Beach. And then that one model actually takes it inland. But the official track of the storm, I'm going to show you the zoomed in version here. 2 p.m. tomorrow, it's at a point about 40 miles outside of Charleston. This is the official track here. Again, bypassing the coast by less than 40 miles. So, if this track holds, we are, again, 42 miles from the center of the track. And what is important to remember now is that hurricane force winds now extend 60 miles from the center. So you can see that farther inland could be expected to see hurricane force winds, and then tropical storm force winds extend 160 plus miles. So that's the reason that we could still even see some breezy and gust closer to Columbia. And that's the reason the tropical storm warnings actually extend a little past I-95. So everybody asking for the upstate, we're not going to see more than 20 to 30 mile per hour intermittent wind gusts, some extra clouds, and a small chance of rain. This is going to be virtually a non-issue for us in the upstate, in large part. Also later today, we have risk of tornadoes along the coast in areas of yellow. That would include Hilton Head, Charleston, Georgetown, Pawleys Island, Myrtle Beach. You're in a risk of spin-up tornadoes. That risk extends a little bit farther inland toward I-95, but notice how there's nowhere near us in the upstate, so we have no concern for that either. Made this graphic yesterday about wind potential. Basically, Charleston and just inland, this would include Georgetown over toward Pawleys Island, McClellanville, and then up toward Myrtle Beach. Hurricane force winds are likely, 75+ mile per hour wind gusts possible. Conditions downhill tonight, worse during the day tomorrow. You can see 50 mile per hour winds likely to spread as far inland as I-95 up toward Florence. And again, if the track is closer to the coast, we're going to have to move these wind gust potentials a little bit farther north just because of the fact it's tracking a little bit farther west than what we're currently thinking. And rain-wise, obviously going to see a lot of rain. Right now, the bullseye looks to be from Charleston up to Florence over to Wilmington, a 6 to 10 inch plus zone of rainfall expected. Wouldn't surprise me to see upwards of 15 inches of rain in a few spots. So pretty crazy stuff in terms of rain. Flash flood watches are in effect for everywhere in green, which includes Savannah up to the 95-26 intersection, Florence up to Raleigh, Outer Banks, coastal areas, all in a flash flood watch. Let's see, what else can I show you? I'll show you the comparison to Matthew in terms of the track. And basically you can see Matthew's track was in blue, paralleling the coast. Dorian's track is in red, and they are so close together right past Myrtle Beach. In fact, they're so close they actually cross potentially right around Wilmington. So again, very similar to Matthew's track. Of course, each storm is different, so I'm not saying everything Matthew brought to the coast Dorian will bring. Each storm is unique in its own right. And finally, we'll end with Futurecast and just kind of show you hour by hour what we're thinking. So 11 p.m. tonight, center is still offshore. Feeder bands are working their way into Charleston. And then, as we get into tomorrow morning, for lack of a better term, it's going to be go time. This is when the worst of the weather is going to be settling into the coast. Hilton Head, Charleston, up and down the coast here, seeing plenty of rain and wind. And basically, you're seeing those onshore winds right into Charleston. Now, thankfully, high tide occurs at a little after 1 a.m., so hopefully by 7 they'll be in a lower tide. But with an onshore wind, we have storm surge concerns there as well. Through the day, it's going to be developing up toward, Georgetown. Had a mind blank there. Closer to Georgetown and then Myrtle Beach by tomorrow afternoon and into tomorrow evening. This model is just evolving everything a little slower, which is entirely possible. So we'll have to be on guard for a slower movement to potentially increase impacts just a bit. But notice how by tomorrow afternoon, Charleston's seeing more of an offshore wind, which is good for storm surge, but not good for just overall tree and power line damage because the winds are just as strong, just coming from a different direction. And also notice upstate, we may have a little rain around, but it's going to be very spotty, very isolated, very much not really an issue. And then by tomorrow night and into midnight, it's near Wilmington and accelerating out of here, and it will be moving up the east coast of North Carolina and then out to sea by Friday during the day. So our weekend is looking fantastic locally, even on the coast. So that's just the latest here. Those of you asking a lot of questions, we appreciate it. Just try and rewatch the video if you can after it's posted, and we will continue to keep you posted. Nicole working behind the scenes. She's still here. We will basically have a meteorologist in the building now 24/7 until we can get this thing out of our hair. So, yeah, we're going to be bringing you some updates on air as well. 11:30, the Governor, Roy Cooper of North Carolina, will be holding a press conference, and then also Brian Kemp from Georgia at noon, and then McMaster this afternoon, allegedly at 2 p.m. We haven't gotten an official word yet as of like 10 minutes ago. So, that's the latest. We'll continue to keep you posted here on our Facebook page, through our app, through our website, and on air. So we invite you to stay tuned with us, and we'll continue to keep you ahead of Dorian and what it could bring to us. And then we're looking ahead to a lovely weather weekend. We'll see you later.